It's toward the latter part of July 2003. It's raining out. So July and rain, you know. We're at the Clinton County Fair, and we're here for an event we've been covering since 1986, thanks to old buddy Allison Blaine, who said, hey, why don't you stop in at the fair and cover the 4-H Fitting and Showmanship contest. Competition might be a closer name to what actually takes place here, but so we're here for the annual 4-H Fitting and Showmanship, and this year a little added bonus from the FFA. Just see the top of her head there, just one of her eyes there, but we'll be seeing a lot more of her very shortly. Tara Taylor, the FFA and Northern Adirondack Agricultural Department head, who replaced Homer Bushy about a year ago, will be judging here. So Tara, we told Tara that she's already one step ahead of Homer, because Homer never judged the 4-H club. Lawrence Bosley is on the microphone, seated on the other side of Allison Blaine as the Beggs family arrive. A little bit about Tara Taylor. She got her associate's degree at SUNY Morrisville, transferred to Cornell, where she got her bachelor's and master's. While there, she was on several winning teams that showed cattle throughout the state and the country, I'd imagine. She grew up on a 90-cow dairy farm that had Holsteins and Jerseys, and she's still an active shower. So Tara Taylor knows firsthand what it means to show, and she knows it currently, which sometimes the judges are former showers, but Tara is still an active shower, so she's going to look at this as an educator and as a showman herself. First class is Clover Buds. We got a Megan Bull out there from West Shazy and an Alec Lapierre from Shazy. Now let's see if we can figure out which one is Megan and which one is Alec. Well, let's see. He doesn't look like a Megan to me, so this must be Megan right here. Megan Bull with a heifer. Bull with heifer. Roger Robinson is here from formerly of Sunny Hill Dairy in Champlain. Roger Robinson is here taking in the activities. Look out. Miss Bull's heifer is acting up. And on the far side, we've got the young Lapierre fella. And he's listening intently to Judge Taylor. You can probably hear the rain hitting off the tin roof here. Get that heifer's head up. These are Clover Buds. Let's see if I have another Clover Bud category. No, actually, these are the only two Clover Buds listed.
Currently an agricultural teacher, FFA advisor, and Northern Adirondack. She is here at the Clinton County Fair with your FFA student. Sarah received her associate's degree from SUNY Morrisville and transferred to Cornell University for her bachelor's and master's degree. She was on the winning team dairy justice teams at both colleges. Sarah grew up on a 90-cow registered Holstein and Jersey farm. Still shows all over the United States and owns cattle at the home farm. This is our
change, trying to come up with some kind of difference. These are the only clover buds. I'm not sure if they're novice or if they're veterans. They're generally, there's a novice clover bud, the first time showers. Then there's regular clover buds who have shown in the past. But my information doesn't indicate one way or the other. And these are the only two clover buds, so immediately following this, they're eligible to come back out for the Clover Bud Showmanship Championship. What they do is they take, normally if you have two Clover Bud categories, the novice and the ones who have shown before, we bring the first and second place winners from both categories back for the Clover Bud Championship. So there is a Clover Bud Championship, but chances are they'll decide, Tara will decide that right now rather than have these same two kids come back out and do this all over again. She'll probably award the ribbons for this competition and then what would normally be the following competition. Rain is really coming down, a nice rain. And there's more often than not the case, it's needed in the North Country. We're hoping, if my asthma doesn't kick in, and it doesn't look like as much dust this year as there was last year. Last year, taping the 4-H and the FFA took me out of commission for quite a while after that with all the dust affecting my hay fever and, more importantly, asthma. Though I'm hoping that after we complete this that I will go to the FFA barn and talk to some of the FFA participants, because we're going to be unable to cover the FFA competition tomorrow. We're going to be in the town of Moira, where they're celebrating their 200th anniversary. So we're committed to be in Moira tomorrow, so we're hoping to tack on some FFA youngsters following this 4-H program. Alec Lapierre and Megan Bowl. And so Judge Taylor is pretty much ready to decide. On your lineup, you got to keep that animal looking good. See a lot of instruction going on. A lot of instruction. Might be hard pressed to pick up Tara on the microphone here, but we'll try with all that noise provided by the rain on the roof.
Good morning. We have a great class. We'll start the morning. Both students and kids know a lot about their cats. I asked them several questions about their cats. They're very knowledgeable. They're both very clean, well groomed, taken care of. The young girl I have in first knows a little bit more about her cat. Had a little trouble with her last movement. She did a great job. The young man I have in second, I told him how to hold the halter properly and walk backwards, and he did that and showed me what he thought he could do. So both of them were good, one and this morning, and thank you.
Yeah, they both get blue. But Megan Bowl will get first place and Alec Lapierre will get second. Now we'll see if she'll have them go through the routine again or just present the awards.
Place winner is Alex Lapierre. This is in the age of 5 to 8 year olds. In the ring.
Okay, looks like they're gonna not bother going through the same routine again, which makes sense. Next up is Junior Showman. These are 9 and 10 year olds. So obviously the Clover Buds are younger than 9. And let's see if okay, Adriana Kucher and Emily Lapierre. So this time I will not know who is who. Pretty easy when there's a boy and a girl and they both have boy and girl names. Sometimes you get a name like Kelly or Jordan or names of that nature that you don't know if it's a boy or girl, but in this case, Adriana and Emily, we know are both girls, so I don't know which is which. Adriana Kuchar is listed on the list first, and Emily Lapierre is second, so. The heifer needs a new transmission. It seems to be stuck there. Doesn't seem to want to walk. Got to be all that hard rain falling right now. Got to be distracting for these heifers. As we've mentioned many years in the past, it's a new environment. They get them here a day or so early. They do usually get them in the ring at least once so they can have been out here. But these heifers have been transported from their home environment to this strange surroundings, brought into this strange show ring, and to add to the confusion, we've got a pile of rain falling out there. First heifer is very reluctant. Just doesn't seem to want to come. Second one has her head up nicely and this competition, for those of you who are first-time viewers or others who are long-time viewers and have forgotten, the portion that we cover is the fitting and showmanship, which means how the youngsters out here show the animal and how well it's presented and how clean and well trimmed it is. After this competition is done, they will get into the cattle judging where they judge the animals, but right now the event we cover is to show people that are being judged on how well they have prepared for this and are showing their animal. You get in here and your heifer's a little nervous. It's tough to make a good showing. She's talking to that calf. Well, this girl here has been good about holding her head up, but now she says, I've had enough of this, thank you. The circle's getting smaller here. She's trying to line up the feet. You line up a calf different from what you would line up a cow. You line up a dry cow different from what you would line up a milking cow. And you line them up according to where the judge is. So as the judge moves, you reposition your animal. Because the only person you're trying to impress is the judge. So you'll always line up your animal based on the position of the judge. Judge Taylor has decided to send him around for another stroll. And he's saying much better. So what the judges usually do, and Tara Taylor is no different, is they show people a little bit of advice, and when the show people follow that advice, judges are very impressed. And all of a sudden, this big heifer, who's been very cooperative, is suddenly showing her oats. Looks like she has decided. We'll listen in and see what we can learn.
Both of these girls did a great job this morning. The young lady I have first, the black cat. Her cat is very well clipped, very clean. She knew the knowledge about her cat. She did a great job. I did help her when her cat gave her a little trouble, and I showed her how to pull that halter. She did much better lean back around here. She goes up to the lady I have, the young lady I have in a second. I would just like to see her head clip a little cleaner and around her legs. She also knew a lot of knowledge about her cat and did a really good job. Congratulations.
Right. Sounds like clipping is the difference between first and second right here.
First place, Emily Lapierre.
Emily Lapierre is first. Adriana Kutcher is second. So this one here is Lapierre, and this one here is Kutcher.
Class 11-year-old. Coming in a couple more classes. All first and second place in that class.
Next up is the Junior Showman 11-year-olds. They are Nathan Bull from West Shazy,
Class is complete.
Andrew Lapierre from Shazy, and Dustin Mullen from Peru. I wonder if Lapierre's are really from Shazy or from Champlain and just happen to have a Shazy mailing address, but actually live in the town of Champlain. That'd be my guess. So Nathan Bull, Andrew Lapierre, Dustin Mullen are the showmen out there. These are 11-year-olds. One of these young men will be eliminated because when they have the Junior Showmanship Championship, they'll bring back the first and second place winners. And in the case of the previous two participants, Kutcher and Lapierre, they're first and second, so they can both come back, but one of these fellows will not be back. If you finish third here, you don't get to go to the next round. These boys are all showing older animals. Bigger heifers. I'm not sure. This looks like a cow here in the front. The other two are larger heifers. So you're talking to the kids. She's asking them about their animal. What's her name? When was she born? If she's a cow, maybe they want to know when she last calved, how much milk she gives. I also want to know who the parents were. This one here does have an udder, but not sure the age of that cow. See him keeping his eye on the judge. That's what you have to do. Keep your eye on the judge at all times. You got one eye on your cow or your heifer, and one eye on the judge. And with the other eyes, you watch where you're going. Lining them up, see how they stand in line. Again, you show the animal based on where the judge is. How quickly you can set your animal is important, and you should moving it according to the judge is moving. This guy seems to be trying to move his animal. You should get those back feet there. That might be good. I'm not certain of the intricacies of exactly how the feet are supposed to be placed. She looks a little awkward here at her back feet from my perspective. And she's a heifer, so doesn't need to show an udder. If you have a milking cow, you need to show the udder. She's testing their knowledge as much as their showmanship here. Knowledge is power. Walking behind, and when the judge walks behind, you give her a different view than she had from the front. So, not sure if any of these guys switched their animals as she walked behind them. Again, everything is done according to the judge's perspective. You don't care how your animal looks from any other angle other than the judge's angle. Look out. That heifer heard the rooster crowing over in the background, so it's time to get up. We've had a few anxious moments over the years. Fortunately, we've never seen anybody injured in any of these shows. Obviously, there's always that possibility, but my knowledge, this is a very safe event. Kids get hurt playing soccer, baseball, football. So they could possibly get hurt doing this too, but my guess is it's actually fewer injuries for participants than there are in other activities, physical activities that the kids might take part in.
buckle on his halter to go the right way, but that was it. He knew all the other information and led her very smoothly. The young man I have in second, he would lead out. He also knew a lot of knowledge about his heifer. I asked all three of them what was they would change about their cow, what their major faults were. And the young man in second answered me very well. Doesn't make difference between second and third. The young man in third, he also had a very clean heifer. He knew a lot of information and also did a great job. So congratulations to all three of you.
First place, Dustin Mullen. Second place, Nathan Bull. Third place, Andrew Lapeer.
All right. So it's Mullen,
Melrose, Matthew Bull, Pearson,
Bull,
in the race.
and Lapeer.
In the ring, 12 and 13-year-old junior.
Junior Showmanship,
Melrose, Matthew Bull, Pearson, Irwin.
12-year-olds, 12 and 13-year-olds.
All the first and second place winners.
Okay, this will be Matthew Bull. I believe this will be Samantha Belrose, because all the Irwins are blonde and the other one is Kirsten Irwin, so I guess this is Kirsten Irwin, Samantha Belrose, and Matthew Bull. Bull family very well represented. I think we've had one just about every class here. We got Megan Bulls, and following that we had no, didn't have one. The next one, and we had Nathan Bull. So we've had 3 Lapeers and 3 Bulls so far. And we're just getting to our first Irwin. You see Bull watching the judge. Even if the judge isn't watching you, you watch the judge. Now Belrose with a young heifer is actually at a disadvantage, even though it's the showmen that are being judged here. It's always a disadvantage to have a young animal when your opponents have full-size animals. Judge Taylor asking questions. And if you don't know the answer, give her a convincing answer. We do not recommend lying, but a good bluff is a good idea. I heard her say with the last group that she asked them to tell her the faults of the animal that they were showing, and part of the difference between second and third place was the showman knowing the faults of his animal better than the other guy. So you're trying to show an animal to its best advantage. You should know what her weaknesses are, and that's exactly what Tara Taylor asked the last group, and I imagine she's asking this group too. You got an older heifer, a young heifer, and a cow, milk cow. So they are all being showed at different angles here. The fact that she has, she's got to be showing that udder to the judge. As the judge moves, she should be moving the feet. There she goes. She moves the foot so that the judge can see the udder. The fact that she has a dairy cow, from what I've seen in the past for other judges, other competitions, and I've been doing this for, this is the 18th year I've been taping these things. Lawrence Bosley, I think, was my first commentator. Back when Allison Blaine talked us into coming down here, Lawrence Bosley grabbed the mic. So we learned from listening to him. Then later on, Sam Blaine did a few for us. So we learned from listening to them exactly what the judges are looking for, and then we learned also from listening to the judges. And of course, I shouldn't not mention Doug Dodds, who for many years was a judge here, originally from Champlain, had a farm in Willsboro, and he was a former classmate of my father, and it was also fun to see Doug Dodds here at the annual fair. Always a smiling, chipper gentleman. Tara Taylor trying to decide how she's going to separate these people. I always try to remain as stationary as possible. The last thing I'd want to do is spook an animal and affect the outcome of this event. Now we've seen judges line them up as if they'd made their decisions and then change their minds after. As sometimes if you put somebody in first place, they line up, they get complacent. It ain't over till she grabs that microphone. "12 and 13-year-olds, 4-H junior showmanship." For the moment, looks like he's putting Bo in first place. Keep showing your animal. Before she goes to the mic, the judge will explain her thinking to each of the contestants, each of the participants.
Have that my animal needs to look her best at all times, and I think he did that. There was a couple times he jumped around a little bit, but he answered the questions perfectly. He watched me like a hawk all the way around the ring. He was very smooth as he led it. Second place first over second, the young lady in second, her cow is extremely clean. Exactly what I'm looking for. I asked her what the fault about her cow was. She did a great job with that. The only thing I would like to see is stand more on one side of her. She got in front of her head a little bit, but she also did a great job. The young lady in third also did a great job. I gave her a couple comments about how the calf led. She likes to walk sideways a little bit, so I helped her how to solve that problem. But she also did a great job and knew a lot about her calf. Congratulations.
All right. So Bo, Irwin, and
First place, Matthew Cole. Second
Belrose.
place, Irwin. Third place, Matthew Belrose.
Okay.
In the ring, Matthew Cole. Nathan Cole.
All the winners, well, first and second, will come back in. So all the previous winners will come back in, except for the Clover Buds. I don't think the Clover Buds will be back. And I have the Junior Championship Showman. Okay, I got all of our prior winners here, except for the Clover Buds, I believe. There should be 6 out here when they're all lined up. We got the, let's see here. Adriana Kucher and Emily Lapierre. Then, I think it was Dustin Mullen and Nathan Bull from the next category. And then we've got Matthew Bull and Kirsten Irwin from the last category. So from this motley crew, Sarah Taylor is going to have to pick a Junior Showmanship champion. Obviously, the older boy, Matthew Bull, is the front runner.
They're out. We're home wondering. Yeah, right? Well, it's different when you're the one that's out. You know what I mean? That's what I said. Now that I'm here and now I
Not unheard of for someone who finished second in their own competition to pull an upset here and win the Junior Showmanship. That's why they bring the first and second place winners out. But it's up for grabs. And what you did before, outside of the animal being clean and so on, is now if your animal has left and come back with some dirt on it, and this one here does have some dirt on it here, that can affect you. That can affect you. So what you did the first time doesn't really matter here the second time out. It's a whole new ball game. One down. One down. 5 to go. Keep smiling. Brush the sawdust off. She's lining them up. Let's see what she's doing here. I believe it's Nathan Bull in first place at the moment. Or is it? No, it's no, Bull's in second place. That would be Mullen, I believe, in first place at the moment. I don't think Old Taro's done just yet. Still working hard here. A lot more responsibility than an umpire has. Whoops. Yeah, lining them up there. Doesn't necessarily have them in the order that they're going to finish. A lot more responsibility than an umpire or referee has, because she is more like a judge in a gymnastics meet. She's the lone person who decides who wins and who loses. Umpire can tell you if you're safe or out. Referee can tell you if you fouled somebody or not. But the judge here is the lone arbitrator.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the reserve pull up first. It's going to be this girl on the end of the second place for the 13-year-old.
The reserve champion is Irwin.
Her cow is beautifully clean. There isn't a stain, spot on her. She leads very well. There's a couple things that I talked to her about that she can change. As far as how she holds her head a little bit. Sometimes she gets stretched out a little bit. My junior showman is going to be the young man for the first place 12 to 13-year-old. He knows a lot about his temper. He answered all my questions correctly. He's always watching me. He's always making sure your temper is set up and was the fastest at all of those things. So congratulations.
All right, so from the 12 and 13-year-old ranks, it's Matthew Bull and then Kirsten Irwin.
First place, Matthew Bull. Second place, Kirsten Irwin. Congratulations.
Okay, that's the junior championship showmanship.
In the ring for our senior showman.
Okay, we are closing in. Some folks are leaving already here. They're closing in on the stretch. We have the 14-year-old and older senior showman, and Mary Castine from Plattsburgh and Ashley Mullen from Peru. And then they're going to go to the senior championship showman, where these two same contestants will be judged against Andrew Lapierre. And then they go to the grand champion showmanship. And apparently some past winners will be represented there. And that person will be the grand champions, and then there'll be some past grand champions. So We got Grand Champion Showman. I think what they do is they get some of the senior members who are too old to compete, and then they get the current senior showman, run them through together, and pick a grand champion. Then they're going to have past grand champions competing. So, a few more categories. All right, this I believe is Ashley Mullen, and the natural blonde over there would be Mary Castine. She's stopped. She's holding that cow so that the udder is showing to the judge. Can't relax. The judge is talking to somebody else. You have to continue to show your animal. Checking for cleanliness. See her remove the back feet. That was not accidental, that's deliberate. And again, I have to point out that a cow with an udder, even though this is showmanship and the cows themselves are not being judged, a cow with an udder is what dairy showing is all about, so gives you a little bit of advantage over having a heifer like Castine has here. So Mullen has an advantage having that cow with a big udder to show the judge. So this is, after all, dairy cattle, and of course Castine's heifer is not cooperating. Sometimes the judges will have the participants switch animals to see if they can handle, if they see an animal is unruly, that's a neat looking animal, as is the case here, a very clean animal for an animal with a lot of white. I assume that's an Asher. An animal with a lot of white, that's a very clean animal. Sometimes the judges will have the participants switch animals to see how they do with the other guy's cow or heifer. When they get into the judging of the animals, there are categories for bulls, but I don't think I've ever seen a large bull out here in the show. Sometimes bull calves, but I don't recall ever seeing one in the fitting and showmanship category. Very possible that there have been, but just none comes to mind right now as far as fitting and showmanship goes. case you're wondering, no, you're not allowed to get on the animal and ride it around the show ring. Now listening intently to the judge now, and then when you're in the ring again for the senior showmanship finals and doing the things the judge tells you, it can sometimes swing you from second to first place. Of course, you need a heifer that understands what's going on and wants to cooperate. .4H Fitting and Showmanship, 14 and older senior showmanship category.
For this class, these two young ladies did a super job. Both of their animals are extremely clean. They're both very knowledgeable about their animals. I had them do something that they didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted to teach them something and get them prepared for the next level, being the older kids of the group. What I asked them to do is I stood right here and I asked them to pick a spot in the ring and place their animal up. They both placed them where I could easily see them. They didn't get between me and that animal. I could see the whole side of them. They placed them uphill. They did a great job. So I hope they learned something from that. Both of them extremely clean, attentive. They did a great job. My girl at first answered my questions a little bit better. Extremely well-trained animals. So congratulations. You're all senior showmen and reserve senior showmen.
Senior showman and a reserve senior showman.
Senior showman, first place Ashley Mullins and Mary Castine. And senior champion Ashley Mullins and Mary Castine. In the ring. Matthew Ball, Kirsten Irwin, Mary Castine, and Ashley Mullins.
Okay, apparently Andrew Lapierre is not here, so they went immediately to the senior championship showman. So now they've brought out
Matthew Ball, David Ball.
let's see. I believe it'll be Matthew Bull and the Irwin girl, Kirsten, is it? Matthew Bull, Kirsten Irwin, Mary Castine, and Ashley Mullen, I think, will be the four coming in right now. That'll be the overall grand champion for this year.
Mary Castine and Ashley Mullen will be in the ring.
Oh, and we want to thank Allison Blaine this year for the first time ever. We've had this sheets all prepared for us to use. So that made it very, very handy. Very, very handy. Okay, this is the Grand Champion Showman. So you got your junior champion and your senior champions, first and second. Or a champion and reserve champion from each category. And looks like she's gonna do the old switcheroo. Alright. The bow will be walked around. So let's see here. Let's see how that animal stacks up here. Now we move the animal. He decides to move the animal's feet so the judge can get a better view of her. Let's see. Gotta set her feet according to where the judge is. Erwin, go giving her new animal a once over. Checking for cleanliness. Sometimes you see some sawdust on an animal, you brush it off. Mullen just switched with Castine. Castine will come over here. It's my understanding that the champion today will be retired and will, so to speak, and will only compete in the grand overall super duper championship, which is the next category. This is this year's grand champions, and next is the past grand champions, and that's when the winner of this year's competition will compete next year. So once they win this, and if it's a junior that wins it, then they don't get to compete as a senior. They get to move directly to the past grand champions list. Well, I don't know if you're supposed to pass somebody here. You kept on going and passed her. I'm not sure if that's proper protocol. Not sure on the protocol of that. Castine's having trouble moving this animal. So Bo just drove on by her. I don't know if the judge told him to do so, if he did that on his own. Just going to line him up. How you hold your hand on the halter greatly affects how well the animal will lead. Don't forget they haven't switched back to the original animals yet. No, she will. And if you should forget what your original animal is, then the best thing to do is head for the barn, because you ain't gonna win. Just lining them up. This will be the final order. Time will tell. Grand Champion Showman.
All of them out here work very hard, and I have them work very hard. I asked them to switch animals and take different animals. I wanted to see how they reacted to each kid. The girl I had in first, she took that red and white and just took her, and she lies so smooth and so nice. She didn't walk sideways anymore. She just really stood out. She did a great job with that. The young man here in second, which would be my reserve grand, and the girl first would be my grand showman. He also does a great job. He's very attentive, alert at all times. He does a good job leading. He always answers with very sweet, good answers. My two young ladies down the line also worked very hard and did a great job, and I hope they learned something today. So congratulations to all of them.
All right, so it'll be Ashley Mullen and Matthew Bull as the reserve. Well, Ashley Mullen is the Grand Champion Showman.
Ashley Mullen, reserve their friend Matthew Bull. Congratulations.
Oh,
In the ring,
it's a kiss from Grandma.
our past champions would be Kathleen Irwin and Rachel Irwin. These are grand champions from years past. Our two that will complete the class.
Okay, now the past grand champions, Kathleen Irwin and Rachel Irwin.
On deck, these are junior cats. Megan Bowl and Alex Lazier. On deck, your junior cats.
This will be the last category that we'll tape. The cattle judging will be next. We got two Irwins. One's Kathleen, one's Rachel. A real family feud going on out here. Don't know what happened to the one that was working at Channel 5 as a reporter recently. That Irwin girl, I think, has moved on to a bigger station. Past grand champions.
The ring are our past grand champions.
4-H Fitting Showmanship 2003. She'll expect a little more out of these young ladies here because they have been champions. A dry cow. What's the other one? A milking cow. Lining them up. souvenir for a lucky fan. You get to take that home like attending a baseball game in Montreal. You get to take home anything that flies in your direction. Same thing here. A lot of souvenir hunters. We're watching viewer-supported hometown cable.
Both of these girls deserve a round of applause. They're both excellent showmen. The girl I had in first knew everything about her cow, how much milk she gave when she calved, thoughts about her, how she would change her. She's a very knowledgeable young lady and did an excellent job showing. She's very smooth on the move. Just an excellent showman. The young lady I had in second, she also did a great job showing. There's a couple of things that she could change to improve for another year. So both did a great job. Congratulations.
Okay, we'll listen to Lawrence Bosley.
First place, Kathleen Irwin. Second place, Rachel Irwin.
All right, Kathleen Irwin is first, and Rachel Irwin was second in the past Grand Championship category, and that's going to wrap up Hometown Cable's coverage of the 4-H Club Fitting and Showmanship competition from the Clinton County Fair 2003. Thanks for watching, and for those of you supporting Hometown Cable's ongoing efforts.